Hello, I'm Misty Purcell. Welcome to my channel. I am a cross-stitch designer and a fabric dyer, and my company is Luminous Fiber Arts. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook as Luminous Fiber Arts, and you can find my website www.luminousfiberarts.com with my cross-stitch designs and fabric when I have it in stock. Welcome back, and welcome if you're new here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks for your comments on my last video. I really enjoyed reading them and hearing about the variety of projects that you're working on. It was a more varied types of projects than I was expecting. I'm not sure exactly what I expected, but it was neat seeing all the different things that you're working on. So I enjoyed reading your comments. Wanted to mention who had won the giveaway from last time. So Lucy Mitchell won Midsummer Song and she contacted me, but the other giveaway winners did not. So I've drawn new giveaway winners. Okay, so for Counting is Hard, the winner is Lynn Vaughn. And for Farm, the winner is Carolyn King. So Lynn and Carolyn, if you would send me an email, misty@luminousfiberarts.com, with the name of the chart that you won and your mailing information, I will get those out to you. I am asking now, since that was quite a long time and I never heard from the winners, that please respond within a week. So today is Sunday, so please respond no later than next Sunday. Today is, what day is it? The 18th. So next Sunday would be the latest. Please get back to me by then. Okay, so how have you been? I've been doing pretty well, keeping very busy, doing lots of stitching and crafting actually. So I'm excited to show you some of the things I've been working on. I've actually finished a few things. I'm getting ready for Needlework Expo, which is happening at the end of August, and I'm looking forward to that, and I'm excited for you to see some of the things that I have lined up. Yeah, it's been a busy summer, but a good summer, and I've been enjoying actually some downtime. I've been intentionally taking some time to myself this summer just to recover from how busy this past year has been for me, and it's been really good. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about what I've been working on, what I've been doing. So first, I wanted to show you, I had the pleasure of meeting up with Helen D. This week. She was on her way to visit a family member, so she stopped in town. They stayed over in town here, and we had dinner, and she gave me this lovely gift, and it was handmade, so I had to share it with you. And of course it's gonna all fall out. I'll show them individually and I'll see if I can arrange them. She's really into strawberries now, stitching berries, and so she made me these awesome fabric berries with the buttons on top. These are awesome, and I love strawberries. Then she made me strawberry jam, and she put everything in this little colander. That's so cute. So thank you, Helen. I had a little gift for Helen as well, and I'll insert a photo, and then I'll talk a little bit more about it a little bit later. Okay. So meeting up with Helen was great. We had dinner. A storm came through at the restaurant. The power was flickering, but luckily we'd just gotten our food, so if the power went out, we could still eat. And just had a really nice visit. So it's been a while since I've gotten to see Helen in person, a little over a year. It was really nice. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about some things I finished, fully finished, some whips, I guess technically some new starts, my stitch along, etc., some purchases, etc., etc. And I have a Q&A that I'll do as well. And I'll try to not have this go on forever. I feel like I've got a lot to talk about. I'm trying to be succinct. Okay, so I had a finish that's not fully finished, and that is Patriotic Rose by Threadwork Primitives. I started this summer, and really enjoyed stitching it. I stitched it on 40 count macchiato, dyed by me. I changed the yellow to Weeks Dye Works Whiskey, and I stitched the leaves with satin stitches rather than cross stitches, but cross stitches are what is charted. And I used B5200 for the white just so it would show up better on my fabric. This is 40 count, by the way. So I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I did not fully finish it this year. It'll go in the pile, I guess, for next year. I have several patriotic pieces in the to be finished pile. I need to find some time to work on those. The to be finished pile seems to be ever growing. Okay. Next up, fully finished items. So first I'll show you one. This is one I stitched last year. This is Where Liberty Dwells, but I finally turned it into a displayable object. This is by With Thy Needle and Thread, stitched on 40 count sparrow linen, dyed by me. I think I may have changed one color, but I think otherwise I used the called for colors. I made some mistakes in here, but he looks fine, whatever. I didn't really know exactly how I wanted to finish this. I had it sitting with different fabrics for about a year, trying different things here and there. And then I just kind of had an inspiration. I changed out what fabric I was considering to this, and then decided to put on both sides. I kind of wish, I don't know if this would have looked right. I was thinking I was going to put buttons on this side too, and then once I didn't know how this was going to go, so I went ahead and just kind of did it bit by bit and played around with things, and what ended up looking best was only having buttons on this side. But now I wonder if it could have been no blue stripe here and it could have looked more like a flag, kind of. I don't know. It's fine. I like how it turned out, but I'm just wondering if that could have worked. But it didn't occur to me to try that until after this was all done. So if you want to finish it this way and try experimenting with leaving that off, you could. I mean, basically when I'm finishing, I'll actually like lay the fabric out, or if I'm going to see if two pieces, I'll like lay both sides, the fabric out. I'll lay the ribbon out, I'll lay the buttons on and kind of eyeball it. Does it look good? How much should show for the fabric? How close should the ribbon be to the seam? Those kinds of things I'll test out before I actually finish sewing everything together. So I'm really happy with this. I think it looks really nice. And I had it on display up on my shelf there where the flags are. So the ribbon is Union from Lady Dot Creates. These are some vintage mother of pearl buttons I had in my stash, and this is a rusty star that I think I got from Factory Direct Craft. And I used, I think it's called Wonder Tape, to adhere this before I was done sewing everything up, and that helped keep it in place. Okay, next. So I'm doing a mystery stitch along, a Christmas in July mystery stitch along of my designs. And we are almost to the final clue, which releases Tuesday. You can join if you want. The stitch along runs all month. You can still join. But I decided to, I didn't think I would have time. I'm actually in the middle of model stitching some things coming out for next year. And I wasn't sure that I really had time to join in my own stitch along. I mean, I designed it, it's done, but did I have time to like stitch again? I didn't think so, but I decided I would do one. So the first clue was the borders, and then the second clue was called Jingle. If you don't want to see any of the mystery because you think you might do it soon and still have it be a mystery, then you might not want to watch this part of the video, but I'm going to show you what the clues look like up to this point. So, and I don't have a pattern because we're doing the PDF version of the pattern right now, so I'm going to hold up the model, but only the parts that I want you to see. Okay, so this is Jingle. This is stitched on 32 count Opulence, which is a linen that I dye. And the pattern is designed with a mix of overdyed flosses and DMC. And So I actually stitched this month during the stitch along. I stitched it. I've been dying to stitch my own designs over one because I love tiny stitching. So I decided that now was the time. Isn't he cute? Ah. Okay, so this is stitched on 25 count vintage country mocha. 1 strand of floss over 1 fabric thread. I'm using the same floss, just a different fabric, and obviously it's much smaller. And then I used Brick House mini pom-pom trim from Lady Dot Creates. This is ticking that I picked up. It's a home deck weight fabric. So it's not like a quilting cotton. And then this ribbon is from Hobby Lobby. The charm is from Helen D. I don't remember where she got them. I made the cording. So this is made using Vanna's mounted tag ornament tutorial. A couple things. I was just lucky. I wasn't thinking initially that I was going to add these jingle bells. I was just lucky that I decided to line this up the way that I did. And then as I was playing around with the idea of adding the jingle bells, which I thought of because of these bells here, it occurred to me that it would look nice kind of spaced out every other one, and it just worked out perfectly by accident. It was all just luck. It wasn't that I planned it that way, but it just happened. So once in a while you get really lucky. And I sewed these on before putting the back and the front together. I went in and sewed each one into the fabric a little bit. So that's how I made this. And then for the next clue is called Jolly. And you can see that's Santa. So I'm really happy with how he turned out. I'm really enjoying the stitch along, and I'm loving seeing your progress on it. And then I also just finished this. This clue released, I think it was last Saturday. And I just did the same finish. Same fabric over one. And I just finished this today, so really, really pleased with how these turned out. I wanted to take a moment to talk about how to do a tag ornament, not a tutorial on it. Vanna's got a great video, but just explaining how the crocodile works and one other thing. So let me grab those things. Okay, so first is actually glue. So this glue I just came across recently at Michael's. And it's kind of like the glue Vanna does. So Vanna has this like tube that she sits in a jar with the glue. Well, this is the commercial version of Vanna's jar, where it's already sitting in a little container upside down, so it's just ready to go. And it does a really nice, you just pull it off, and it does a really nice thin line of glue. So I've been using this lately to finish, and I really, really like it. Just an FYI. So it's the Aleene's Tacky Glue, but it's just very cool. Okay, so there's that. Now, so I wanted to mention the only thing that I had a little bit of trouble with the first time I made tag ornaments a while ago was figuring out how to put in these eyelets, because I didn't really understand how the crocodile worked. So there's a handheld one, and then there's this one, I think it's called a Big Bite, which I was fortunate enough to inherit from a friend who passed away. She had this in her collection, and I happened to need one, so let me tell you how I set it up, because when I remember like reading the instructions and trying to watch some videos, I had some trouble at first figuring out how to use it for the tag ornaments. So I just thought I would just quickly explain. So first, you want to set it to 3/16 on the top. Here this thing slides. Okay, so 3/16. That gives you the hole punch to insert the eyelet. And you can set the depth here. This is a sliding, I'm not going to slide it because I've got it perfectly where I want it, but this little thing slides up and down a ruler. I think I've got mine set to like 1/2 inch depth. We're pretty close to it. Okay, so that's the first step, is to punch your hole in both layers of your tag. So the tag one, then you stick them together, do it through the other one. Okay, then you're gonna set your eyelet inside. I found these really, I had already had some, but then I found that they have a lot of really cool colors. I think I got these on Amazon, so I've got several different colors now. It says that they're 0.5 centimeters or 0.1875 inches. They're just kind of standard. So now, in order to set those, you're going to flip this up to the end. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little symbol there to show that it's going to be doing this. Okay. And you want to have your die on top. You want to have A. So this die here, or whatever you want to call it, this thing is A. So this flips, you can switch it. Okay, so A. And on the bottom, I have it set to, I think it's 1. Looks like it's 1. I don't know if you can see or not, but it's bumped up so that you can put the eyelet up there. And you want to set it in, basically, you stick the eyelet in the hole like this. Let's pretend this is just one layer for right now. You stick your eyelet in the hole, and then you would put it under here like that and clamp down. You want to make sure, for me, this is what worked better. You want to have the eyelet facing up, the good side facing up, and the back side facing down. Otherwise, for me, the eyelets did not flatten properly. So this is fairly easy to use. I like this one because it's not that hard to pull the handle. But I just wanted to show you that because I remember being very intimidated and not really understanding how this thing worked when I first got it. Okay, so that's my little quick tips about eyelets and tag ornaments. So go watch Vanna's video. I'll try to remember to link it below. So the mystery stitch along runs through the end of the month. You can purchase the pattern on my website as a digital download. It's a one-time purchase for the full pattern, and then the clues are delivered electronically. The first 3 clues are already out, so you would have them all, and then the 4th clue will be delivered on Tuesday, and then that will be the final clue. I have a few kits in stock if you'd like to stitch it on the Opulence fabric with the over-dyed flosses. Okay, so let's talk about some whips. Oh, yeah, no, let's keep going. Okay, souvenirs of summer. I am working on Summer Jubilee, and I made some more progress. This is stitched on 18th Century Blackbird by R&R Reproductions, using most of the charted flosses, and I'm enjoying it. I need to change the urn color. I haven't done that yet. I need to take out what I have and change it to a little bit lighter orange. It's a really sweet design. I had an idea that I might get it done this year, but I don't think so. Then I was also kind of hoping I'd finish this year, and it didn't happen. Beggar's Fourth by Threadwork Primitives. And I'm stitching this on 56 count Sparrow dyed by me, and you can see I left a nice thread here on the front. And I've changed most of the flosses. Really enjoying this one, but I do have to wear mag eyes for it. Okay, and then this was for cross stitch camp last month, and I'm still working on it. So Foxwood Crossings, it's Halloween, 40 count soft pumpkin. Change the floss to Black Coffee by Classic Colorworks. And I just got another row done. I discovered that I really screwed up counting on the first part there, which is kind of understandable because letters are irregular, but very cool. So I'm loving this. And I also worked on my birthday start this year, garden samplers. I'm stitching the garden gate sampler by Prairie Schooler. Stitching this one on 40 count cafe au lait. I have a little bit left to rip out here. I made a counting mistake. So I need to rip out this little part here. Really liking how this one's coming out. I've left out the purple. I'll decide about that later. And then in honor of Barb Adams, I wanted to get back to work on my Loose Feathers series. So I picked that back up this week after hearing about her passing. I had the opportunity to meet her a couple of times at market, and both she and Alma were lovely ladies to talk to, and it was very sad to hear about her passing. So I really wanted to work on this project in honor of her. I started this last year on the summer solstice with the summer piece, and technically I was planning to start autumn, but all I really did was work on the letters across the top. If you've not seen it, it will look like that when finished. This is the winter one, which I'm not even close to starting. But so I'm changing the words or the letters, so I'm not stitching the alphabet. I hemmed and hawed about this. So I was thinking I'd like it to say to everything there is a season. And then I was like, I don't have the energy to rechart this. So I just started it. And then I got to like F. And I was like, maybe I should chart it. And it took me a while, like maybe an hour or more, but maybe 2 hours at most. But then I was like, it was so worth it because I would prefer, I don't know, something meaningful over just alphabets at times. And this is one of those times where I didn't really need the alphabet, but a meaningful saying, or well, from scripture, was what I needed here. So this is 40 count sparrow. I've changed the colors to look more like the cover. And so in theory I was starting autumn, but really I just stitched across the top. I finished the letters and I need to finish this little green border, and then I'll really start in on autumn. So that's that. And Kim Goldman is also stitching this with To Everything There Is a Season, but she started it here, so she doesn't have the funny little alphabet at the beginning. Okay, so those are my whips. Let me show you some other projects I finished. And they're not cross stitch, but then I'm going to come back to cross stitch, so it won't take very long. I'm a multi-crafter and I like to experiment with things. So one thing that I wanted to do for a while is make tomato pincushions. There's a pattern by Bird Brain Designs. I think it might be called Big Fat Tomato Pincushion. And then I found this blog post by, I think it's Rhonda Dort, something like that. I can also link that, where she was showing her pincushions using that pattern, but she reduced the size because the Big Fat Tomato was actually really big. I didn't really want one that big, but hers were super cute, not made out of felt, but made out of felted wool and flannel and other things that she used, and they were smaller. So in her blog post, she explains how she reduced the size, and she gives some tips. I've been wanting to make some tomato pincushions for months. I even had one like cut out and partially sewn together, but I just couldn't get any momentum. And finally, once my life settled down this summer, I was like, okay, just make one, just finish the one and see. And then I had such a good time, I just kept going. So I've made several, and they're filled with ground walnut shells or lizard litter. This one has a vintage mother of pearl button on it. This one is reduced. I think this is like 60% of the original size. And I had this felted wool in my stash, so it was fun to use stuff from my stash, and I had the pearl cotton in my stash as well. So it makes you feel virtuous, right? Like, oh, I have all these supplies, so I'm being good by using them. But it's also nice that I had a selection of supplies. This one is made from flannel that's meant to look like felted wool, or look, you know, it's woven. looking. My quilt shop in town used to carry this, and people weren't quite sure what to do with it, and I always thought it would make a great pumpkin. So I bought some thinking I'd make a pumpkin with it, and finally, all these years later, I did. So this is the same. They're a little different looking, but this is also the 60%. And then I did one at 50%. So that's a wee little one. I did more, so that's what I gave to Helen. I made one for her and gave it to her for our visit. And I've just been having a really good time with these. So they're really quick to make and not difficult if you're interested in making them. I just used, I traced the pattern onto freezer paper, and then I ironed it onto the felted wool or the flannel to make these. It just made it faster to cut them out. And I used Kay's Perfect Scissors, the serrated blade scissors, for cutting it out so that it would be less fuzzy. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah. So hopefully that answers any questions you might have, but that's what I did. I have a hate-hate relationship with blanket stitch. I don't have a love-hate, I have a hate-hate, as in I don't do it. I don't like how my blanket stitch looks. Perhaps if I practiced more it would look better, but I don't care. I just do, like, I guess what would be considered like a whip stitch instead of the blanket stitch, and I'm perfectly happy with that. And I never do blanket stitch when it asks me to. I just do that instead. And it works great. And looks better than any blanket stitch I could ever do. I first learned blanket stitch, or let's see, like early 2000s when I was trying to do some applique quilting when I was first starting to quilt with black, you know, I had black pearl cotton, or maybe I was doing 6-strand embroidery floss, I don't remember. And I was trying to stitch it through like interfaced applique, and it was just painful and it didn't look good. I have left that behind. I'm not doing that anymore. Okay, so that was one project. Another project that I wanted to quickly show you. If you remember, I bought this last fall, I think, and I got the kit for the stockings. Let me see if I can show you a picture without showing too much. Yeah. Okay. So the kit had everything for the stockings, except I'm not sure it really had enough red. And then I like screwed something up in making them. So I ended up having to use my own ticking fabric. I cut them the wrong way, and then I was confused. I don't know. It's been a while since I did wool applique, but I seem to not need to reverse it the last time. I think I'm doing the primitive gatherings method and not the buttermilk basin method. I wasn't using her fusible. And I know you're supposed to use a lot of steam with your wool applique. By the way, this is what I made. And I thought I did, but man, the needle got really gummy. So I ordered some of the stuff that Stacy recommends in a different needle. I'm gonna try again. But anyway, it turned out super cute regardless. So I actually ended up using some of my own wools. Like this came with the kit, these came with the kit, but I added green instead of black. I wish it were more of a black green. Anyway, that's what I did. And I did this stitch, I think this is feather. Turned out better than I expected, because I don't really do well with freehand embroidery. I used to do some crazy quilting and I really needed to mark out what I was gonna do. But I guess this is very forgiving. And then there's the back. So that was super cute and I'm really happy. I felt, again, virtuous grabbing a kit from my stash and doing something with it finally. Okay. So I'm going to talk about a question I was asked, and then a couple things I purchased and something from my shop. So I had a question from Peggy B. Peggy B had several questions. Let's see how we're doing on time. I'm going to at least answer, discuss her first question. I may have to save her other questions for the next video. So Peggy asked, is there a way to stitch and keep the back looking neat and not a tangled mess? Do you stitch 1x complete at a time, or go across the row and then back? I do use the loop method for securing my thread to start. Okay, so that's one question. So personally, the way that I stitch these days is I do only the first leg of the X going across as far as I want to go across, and then I come back, even with over-dyed flosses, because I like the way that the stitches look more uniform than if I go one direction by crossing each one individually and coming back the other direction. I can see that the slant changes between every row, and it doesn't happen if I do it that way. So I like there to still be some pronounced variegation in the floss, and so what I do to kind of still get the splotchy effect is I just don't go all the way across the row necessarily. Like if it's a big long row, I just go maybe a little ways across and back and back and back like that. Now that has nothing to do with keeping the back tidy, that's just how I stitch. So one thing that I've noticed is, and you can play around with this, depending on whether you start, if you're gonna do it like I'm just talking about, depending on whether you start from the bottom and go up or start from the top and go down, and depending which leg you cross first, there can be a lot more floss on the back than on the front. Or, no, okay, just a lot more floss on the back. She asked about a tidy back, so this isn't going to be a very accurate representation because it's only one strand, and so it's just going to be bound to look more tidy. I don't know if you think this is tidy. This is what the back looks like. It would look messier on 32 because there'd be 2 strands. But what I found, I stitch going bottom left to top right, and then bottom right to top left. But if I were to do the opposite and go top right to bottom left, if I were to reverse that, but still cross them the same way, there seems to be more floss on the back of the fabric. You can play around with it, just do some rows, some little chunks on like a piece of scrap fabric. I discovered this because I've always stitched the way I've stitched. My model stitcher stitches the opposite to me with the opposite leg on top. I needed to take out something that she'd stitched and restitch the area because I needed to change the color. And when I tried to stitch like her but still stitch like me, starting from the bottom, there was all this floss on the back, and I was like, why does mine look so different from her? I'm crossing it the same way, with the same leg on top. And then I experimented and started going from the top down, and that got rid of all that extra floss on the back. So anyway, if you want to play around with that, that might help make it look cleaner on the back. Using the loop method does help. I'll use a pin stitch to start. I clip the threads very close on the back when I'm ending. Sometimes I use a pin stitch to end as well. Sometimes I don't. Often I don't, to be honest. But I just clip very, very close. Like you don't see any threads hanging off. I don't know if this is really called a Bavarian tuck. I swore I learned this from Caroline from Off the Grid Needle Arts, but I've never been able to find where she said this. But I saw she called it a Bavarian tuck, where you, when you finish off, you go under a few threads on the back, and then you go back again and go under, like go a little farther, but go under those threads again, and then clip. And that's how I do it. And I can tell you that you can take it out, but it's not like immediately going to fall right apart, because I know, because I've struggled to undo my own stitches at times. So hopefully that helps. If other people have comments about ways that they keep their back looking nice, please feel free to share your wisdom with Peggy. She also asked, do you leave threads hanging to pick up after you fill in with another color? Or do you cut the first before you start another? Right now I'm working on a hedgehog biscornu, which changes colors frequently. Okay, and so she's having trouble counting accurately with that. Now I'll say that I don't do a lot of projects with a lot of color changes, so I'm probably not like the best person to ask this question of. But when there's not a lot of colors, probably I would just do an area in one color and stop, and then do the next one, you know, cutting. If there are a lot of color changes, I probably would, and I have stitched, you know, whatever parts were the color, then the next one, you know, around it, like trying to fill in an area at a time and marking it off carefully on my chart, having a working copy, and leaving the threads dangling, yes, on the front. If you have tips about that, please leave your suggestions for Peggy. If you're someone who does projects that have a lot of color changes, what is there, like some place you can recommend that she go to read about, or a video perhaps that she might watch that would be helpful to her, or just general advice that you have? If you want to put it in the comments, that would be great. I'm sure other people would really appreciate it too. Okay, so yeah, Peggy, I hope you don't mind, but the rest of the questions I'm going to save for the next video, just because this one's getting a little long and it takes a while to upload. So for next time, we'll answer more of Peggy's questions. And then lastly, I forgot to grab haul. I only have one handy, so I'll show you the one haul that I have handy. All right, you know, I'm a sucker, if you've been here for a while, for Veronique Anjanji. Her. Look at this. I saw this on the French Needle. I get her newsletter. Sometimes I get things directly from the Parisian embroiderers on Etsy. Sometimes I get things from the French Needle. She's in the United States and she, you know, distributes them here or whatever. So look at these birds, this little bird sewing. Here's the computer generated images of what they'll look like stitched up. But, you know, let's see. Birds sewing, birds sewing, bird floss, bird button card, bird with birdhouse in a basket, more birds sewing. If you know me and my designs, I'm all about birds and sewing. And there's just other cute things too, like cute baby stuff. Yeah, just very, very sweet. So I couldn't resist this. Like, I just went right over and bought it. I have no control. Okay, so that was my haul. And then I wanted to mention I've got a new fabric color coming out. I've been working on this for a little while, and then there was a point where I felt like I had it looking pretty good. And so I posted on Instagram and asked people to give me name suggestions. I want to tell you who the person was. Let me see if I can quickly look her up. If I can't quickly look her up. Okay, this was Lori. And she is Queen of the Green 54 on Instagram. So like a ton of people, I posted this and I'm like, what should I call this color? People gave me the most amazing names. Like, I don't know why I even bother to ever name fabric, because you guys are way better at it than I am. So they gave me all kinds of ideas. I posted it in my stories and like put a little thing where people could just enter what they wanted to, and there were so many good ideas. And I ended up going with her idea of salted caramel as the color name. It's my favorite cupcake flavor. So this is salted caramel. It'll be coming out soon, either the end of July or the beginning of August. And I have it dyed on all the bases, so I'm very excited to be releasing that soon. I think it'll be a great neutral for samplers or whatever you want to stitch. I think it'll show white reasonably well. But you know, it's not going to be like super stark contrast for white. But yeah, really nice color. I'm really happy how it turned out. So if you're interested in knowing when I have that, please sign up for my newsletter so that you can be notified when it's in stock. And I always put a link to my newsletter sign up in the description below the video. So that's coming soon. And is there anything else? Yeah, I'm just getting ready for Expo. It's pretty busy right now. And I hope to be back in about a month, but if things are too crazy, in advance of Expo, because I'll also be getting ready to go back to teaching in person in the fall, then I may not do a video in August and only do one in September, but I'll try to be back next month if I can. We're expecting to go back to full in-person instruction in the fall. Still don't quite know what that entails, but we'll see. And we'll be starting classes like the last third of August, August 23rd, I think it is. So that'll be coming up soon. It's coming fast. The summer has gone so fast, I just can't even believe it. Well, I don't know where all the time has gone, but it's gone quickly. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.